Welcome to this explainer. Today we're dissecting a really critical, but honestly, often underutilized part of any academic journey. If you're a researcher, you already know you kind of have to play two totally different roles. First, you're a detective, right? Meticulously hunting for clues in what's already been discovered. And second, you're an architect, gathering materials to build a rock-solid foundation for your own completely new ideas. Mastering the literature review? Well, that's exactly how you pull off both.
To get us there, we've got a fantastic roadmap for today. Think of this as your ultimate blueprint toolkit. We'll hit defining the literature review, the 5 goals of reviewing, primary versus secondary sources, organizing your literature, and finally, the art of synthesis. Okay, let's dive into this.
Section 1. Defining the literature review. Let's establish exactly what it is we're building here before we lay down a single brick. So, a review of studies, sometimes you'll hear it called the review of related literature, is formally defined as the process of examining previous research related to your current study. But look, here is the absolute most important takeaway. The purpose isn't just to write a glorified book report summarizing what others have done. Not at all. It's entirely about demonstrating how your current research actually fits into the existing body of knowledge. It's like looking at a massive, half-finished puzzle so you can figure out exactly where your brand new missing piece is going to fit perfectly.
And to find the shape of that puzzle piece, researchers summarize, compare, analyze, and synthesize findings from some very specific places. We're talking books, academic journals, past dissertations, conference proceedings, official government reports, and of course, strictly reputable websites. These are literally the gold mines of existing knowledge.
Now, looking at that massive stack of reading material, you might be wondering, why not just skip it? Why not just jump straight into the lab or head out into the field right now? Well, skipping the review phase is a lot like spending 3 years in a dark lab inventing the wheel, only to step outside and realize someone else already patented the tire. You definitely don't want to do that.
Which brings us to Section 2, the 5 goals of reviewing. This is where we really shift from seeing this as a tedious academic requirement to realizing it's actually a highly strategic tool.
Now, what's really interesting about these 5 steps is how they build real momentum for your project. Number 1, you understand existing knowledge. You learn what's out there so you aren't flying blind. Number 2, you identify research gaps. You figure out what we still don't know. Number 3, avoid duplication. This stops you from repeating identical studies someone else already spent years doing. Number 4 is develop a research framework, which basically means using previous theories to build your own models. And finally, number 5, improve methodology. You can actually adapt existing research methods for your own work, so you go from just discovering what's known all the way to actively upgrading how you'll conduct your own study.
Section 3. Primary versus secondary sources. We've got our objectives, so let's talk about the raw materials we'll use to build that foundation.
Because, as it turns out, not all clues are created equal in the eyes of a researcher. We really need to distinguish between 2 main types of sources here. Primary sources, that's the original research actually conducted by the researchers themselves. It's your first-hand, completely unfiltered evidence. Secondary sources, on the other hand, well, those are interpretations of those primary studies. That's where someone else has looked at the raw data and summarized or analyzed it for you.
To make this super clear, primary sources include things like journal articles, dissertations, and conference papers. Those are the places where scientists and scholars publish their direct original findings. Secondary sources include your textbooks, review articles, and encyclopedias. Now, those are incredibly useful for getting a broad overview, for sure. But remember, you're reading someone's interpretation of the first-hand evidence, not the raw evidence itself.
Section 4. Organizing your reviewed literature. Let's move to this next step and see how it builds our foundation. Because once you've gathered all these sources, you absolutely need a system to structure them.
Think of these 3 organizational methods as different architectural blueprints. You can organize chronologically, which means tracing the history of an idea straight from the oldest studies right up to the newest ones. You could organize thematically, grouping your literature by specific topics. Or you can organize methodologically, grouping the studies by the actual research methods they used, like separating out all the quantitative data studies, the qualitative observation studies, and the mixed method studies.
Let's just focus on one of those blueprints for a second to see how well it works. Thematic organization. Instead of just listing 10 random papers one after the other, you cluster related ideas logically. So, say you're studying business. You might group a set of papers under customer satisfaction, another set under service quality, and a final set under employee performance. It just makes your whole review flow so logically from one distinct concept to the next.
Which leads us to our final section, Section 5, the art of synthesis. Listen, if you take away only one thing from this entire explainer, let it be this. This is the ultimate secret to taking a literature review from just good to truly groundbreaking.
Here is the golden rule. Don't just summarize, synthesize. So the crucial point is this. Instead of just discussing studies one by one, author A said this and then author B said that, a truly great researcher combines those findings to create a totally new understanding.
Take a look at this quote. Several studies indicate that service quality strongly influences customer satisfaction. However, researchers disagree regarding which service dimension contributes most significantly to customer loyalty. And this brilliantly illustrates synthesis. It doesn't just list what the study said, it points out a very specific disagreement among the researchers. By combining those findings, it essentially lights up a glowing neon sign pointing directly to a research gap.
And that disagreement, that unknown variable, that missing piece of the puzzle, that is exactly where you step in. Because by organizing your sources, avoiding duplication, and synthesizing all that existing knowledge, you aren't just reading history anymore. You're actually preparing to make it. So I leave you with this final thought. As you look at your own field of study, now that you know exactly how to build the foundation, what gap will your research fill?